people who had traumatic childhoods. What's something you do as an adult that you hadn't realized was a direct result of the trauma? Story 1. I just learned the following. As a grown but adult, I have attachment issues. I don't set boundaries. I am very aware of a person's mood. Like I can read a person's body and expression very clearly. To add to this, I am hyper aware of my surroundings, as if I am prepared to get jumped. I am always trying to please everyone, even those that are mean to me, and I am empathetic to a fault. The list is never ending, and I just learned all of this within the past year. Story 2. Overthinking. Predicting and preparing for worst-case scenarios. Having a higher tolerance for situations while also falling apart over tiny things. Refusing to let people stand behind me. Lack of trust for others. Being very prepared for people to drop and leave me without reason or warning. Oh, I forgot to mention, you develop a physical need to help others. You want nothing more than to make others happy, to avoid or overcome ever feeling as you do, no matter what it costs you, and you hope that you can make up for whatever it is you did to deserve it all. Story 3. Not sure if this is just really weird, but at work, whenever I ask for a day off, every job I've had, I had given a detailed description of why and the purpose of needing it off. Finally, at my current job, my direct supervisor would keep telling me I don't need to know why. I did some reflection and realized that, in my youth, if I didn't explain things as far as being absent, feeling sick, needing to go to the doctor, if I didn't have a good enough explanation, I was completely disregarded. It got ingrained in me to find the best possible reasoning behind nearly every choice I ever made. Story 4. I'm the same way. My hypervigilance has led to a kind of superhearing where I hear things long before other people, like sirens or a car with a loud stereo bass. Unfortunately, this makes having quiet, peaceful times damn near impossible. For that, I need to put in earbuds and noise-canceling earmuffs, but then I hear my heartbeat. At least that noise is mine. I do get anxiety with certain noises, like when the kids outside my apartment are screaming like they are being murdered, or constant tapping or thumping like a loud stereo bass. It's like water torture to my brain. Story 5. I had an ex who would scare me constantly. I would beg him to stop and he never would. One time he scared me and I pushed him. He thought it was funny. He didn't lose balance or anything. There was no harm done, but it made me cry. I felt like I pushed him out of anger, and I didn't want to become like my parents. I made the mistake of telling him this, and he used it against me, telling some of our mutual friends that I was abusive to him and had hit him before. Even told everyone I left a mark, which I absolutely did not. He never physically hurt me, but he did literally every other kind of abuse in the book. I hate that man so much. I wish I could just let it all go. Story 6. Well, it's a good thing it's an ex and you're not still with him. One reason it affects me so much is because I'm a guy, and it's always stereotyped that guys have to be strong, not let stuff bother them. I've been with girls who've looked down on me because I startle easily. But what makes it worse is that I'm a big guy. I'm 6'4" and not a stick. So it's expected even more so that I shouldn't be afraid of anything. So when someone says boo and I jump, everyone laughs. It's really rough. The fact that I'm a big guy also makes it harder to be vulnerable, as sometimes people just won't believe me if I tell them I've been abused. The judge I talked to during my parents' custody battle sent me back to public high school after 2 years of cyber because you're a big guy. They can't bother you. Story 7. It's low self-esteem, people-pleasing behavior. It's all that I know. When your parent is someone who creates an environment where you can't resist them or they make you afraid of them, then any disagreement that is possible becomes a source of great fear. And you just submit and give them what they want to hear. I don't know how to behave any other way. Saying no to someone or responding to them in any way that might displease them is basically a nightmare for me. I'm afraid of people and have been since I was in middle school. I'm 33 now. Story 8. I'm one of those people who are entirely backbending for the first year or so, and then I get freaking tired of being so sweet, and then become inconsolably cranky, fight picky, moody, and it's always at year 2. So now, after much therapy, 6 years worth actually, I'm just being my authentic self every day. Whatever emotion bubbles up is the one I show at the time. It's impressive to see the gravitations and avoidances of acquaintances once you start acting yourself from the beginning. It all gets easier with practice, friend. Start expressing your need for quiet sometimes to your littles. Maybe they'll enjoy it too. A quiet time to read a book or color at the table while you decompress in the next room. Hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to help out the channel. But first, a word from our sponsor, Light Gallery. It's a game changer when it comes to illuminating your living space. If you're looking to add a touch of creativity to your home, this is the perfect solution. They offer a varied collection of high-quality illuminating objects. The last couple of days I had the chance to try out their realistic moon lamp. I have to say that my room caught a new feeling, and not only this, but this lamp is shown to improve focus, which was really important for creating awesome stories for you. Light Gallery offered 15% off if you use the code CARL7. But hurry, it's only for the next 72 hours. Thank you so much, Light Gallery, for sponsoring this video. And let's get back to the stories. Story 9. To this day I still sleep on my stomach. When I failed the 4th grade, my dad was beyond pissed at his son being a failure. He told my mom to leave the house and had me drop my pants and take my whipping like a man. He beat me so long and so hard that the belt cut into my flesh, and there were chunks that were hanging loose. I literally had to take a pillow to school the next week to sit down on. The teacher was concerned, so she called the principal, vice principal, and 2 other teachers as witnesses and had me drop my pants in the boys' restroom. They were horrified but didn't report anything. When I told them why I was beaten, they told me to study harder to stop this from happening again. That was decades ago, but I still sleep on my stomach and never fail at anything I try to do. Story 10. I just started a full-blown burnout exactly for that reason. Work, home, family, illness, COVID, deaths, everything in the past 3-4 years had made me completely erase myself and care for everyone else but me. I finally snapped when my dad entered palliative care end of March. I got to spend many weeks by his side as much as possible, still sort of neglecting myself, but for a good and temporary reason. Now that he's passed, I'm slowly realizing how deep that pattern has been affecting me for years. I don't know how to start being better to myself. Each step feels like I'm going against every fiber of my survival instincts. I feel like each time I value my own needs, I'm letting everyone down. It's hard. Story 11. Start by buying yourself a treat at the store when you go grocery shopping. Keep it in the top part where you put the bread and eggs, or a small child if you have those, so you can look at it the whole shopping trip. I want this. I deserve this. Look at me with my little snacky snack. It's going to be so good when I get back to the car. Then you go up a level and get something you've wanted for a while that's inexpensive, a fruit you'd been wanting to try, new makeup, a squishmallow, or take a long bath instead of a shower. Spend an extra 5 minutes in bed after your alarm. Start with small wants and work your way up. It'll get easier to identify the things you need to do for yourself by recognizing the wants. Story 12. I pull away from people trying to hug me. I know that's a result from being emotionally neglected as a child and then as an adult. Like, why would you want to hug me? I used to always flinch when my most recent ex would come up from behind me to hug me or let me know he was there. I don't really know where that comes from, but maybe I'll find out in therapy in the next months. The relationship before my most recent one started to become physically abusive towards the end, but I've never put thought into that being the cause. Oh frick, I'm going to be fricked up for a bit when we figure that one out. Ha, rip. Story 13. My dad is going through a hard time, emotionally, mentally. He's retiring and closing up his small business and doing it all himself, and it's causing him a lot of stress, which he doesn't handle well and never has. He takes it out on other people, including, especially, his family. I had dropped something off at his office last week, and he later texted me asking if I had left the lights on or if his landlord had been in his office again without telling him. I hadn't turned on the lights, so it wasn't me, but I still had this major urge to just tell him it was me so that he didn't flip out on his landlord. I'm 35, have my own family and a decent career. I also go to therapy once a week. Yet I still had that desire to be mediator, even if it meant taking the heat for something I didn't do. This crap never goes away. Story 14. I do a lot of apologizing. It was one of the many things I did to try to lessen the abuse. If I'm sorry enough, people won't be as angry with me as they might otherwise be. Hell, I take my family out to a theme park for a day, and I'll feel a need to apologize if just one little thing gets out of whack, and constantly questioning them to see if they are enjoying themselves, which is exhausting for them sometimes. They shouldn't have to reassure me so much. Therapy has helped a lot. At least I can identify when I'm doing this stuff and make an effort to stop. Knowing is half the battle, right? Story 15. My husband does the exact same thing. We do well financially. We can buy anything we want at the grocery store, for instance. But he asks, and it breaks my heart to think of him as a teenager having to literally dumpster dive when he came to the US. Another hard factor is that he, doesn't take yes for an answer, or oversells the need for XYZ item or watching ABC movie, because he was never affirmed or given any agency. I think it still surprises him when I remind him that we can watch garbage TV and have a boba tea for dinner. I'm trying to give him a good childhood in his middle age. Story 16. For me, it's also that I wouldn't stop or demean myself by asking for help and putting myself at the mercy of others almost. It's so stupid as I would never begrudge helping others, and I always try to be a good person myself, really want to be someone who is kind and considerate to others, so I should assume most people are exactly the same, but I clearly don't. I can't get over the fact that my childhood didn't have that, though. You learn to be independent and tough and prove you didn't need anyone, so you couldn't get hurt or be weak. If you are upset or sad, you keep it to yourself, as showing sadness is showing that others have power over you. By keeping it to yourself, it's somehow less embarrassing, maybe. It's really tough to shake that mentality, and I worry that my son sees it in my husband and I and thinks it's normal, as we have similar upbringings and I guess are quite cold and tough, maybe, even though inside things kill me sometimes and I feel like a lost little girl. We want him to have the loving, supportive environment we never did, and I don't ever want him to feel he has to hide his feelings or worry about asking for help.